Hi, guys. Welcome to Liz and Liz Get Literary. My name is Liz.
And my name is also Liz.
Today is such a special, fun day. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this interview. And we are so excited to welcome Jeaniene Frost onto the podcast this afternoon. Jeaniene was probably the first author where I hounded Liz G to read her. She writes paranormal urban fantasy, vampires, ghouls, magicians. So I knew Liz would love it. And you did. You liked it a
And
lot.
I did. I loved it. I loved them.
Yes, and I when we started Liz and Liz, we each kind of had like mini goals, I want to say, of like where we wanted to go with the podcast. And I distinctly recall looking at Liz and saying, if we ever got to interview Jeaniene Frost, like that is my top manifestation. And here we are today.
Craziness. Yeah, literally day one, we both said who our dream interview guest would be, and Jeaniene Frost was one of the two. And here she is. So I'm really excited, obviously for myself, but Liz S is a lifelong Jeaniene Frost reader. So this is like crazy. This is nuts. So
Yes. What's interesting is so Liz and I met 2023, was it 2023, right?
2023.
Yes. And at that time, Jeaniene had kind of put out a she had put out a couple of books, but they were like from the male main character's point of view in Halfway to the Grave Bones. And, I remember even saying to you that I felt that maybe we would get to interview Jeaniene if she ever decided to put out a new book because Halfway to the Grave, the Night Huntress series is a pretty old series. I read Halfway to the Grave. I looked it up back in 2020, 2008. I can't even say
That
like
is
2010.
amazing.
Yeah. And so what was crazy is that I believe it was either 2024, 2025. Jeanine's putting out a new book and it's called A Curse of Beasts and Magic. Her new book comes out May 26th. It is the way that has been described. She's described it is Beauty and the Beast meets The Witcher, but Beauty is the Beast and The Witcher is her warden, and that is exactly correct.
Mhm.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I absolutely Liz read it first, obviously, she was not gonna be able to wait, she was, like, frothing at the mouth. We were sent the physical book in the mail, so we had to do it the old-fashioned way with one of us at a time, and so because I'm obviously a good best friend, she read it first, and then she was like, You have got to read it," and it did not disappoint. Liz hyped it up exactly as she should have, and I think if you're a fan of anything that's like an urban fantasy, any type of retelling, any type of romantasy in any way, shape, or form, this will be good for you.
Yes. And recently, probably in the last year, between our various book clubs, I've also been hyping up just Jeaniene in general because I feel like when her first series, the Night Huntress series, came out, there really wasn't a genre that I would call like romantasy was not a thing in 2008. It was smut.
Mhm.
And this was also during the Twilight phase. And I think for me, I was obviously an Edward girl, but I was looking for more, like I wanted a spicy Twilight, I guess is what I would say. And when I found Jeaniene, it was like exactly what I was looking for. And one of the things that like I think both of us have said is if Jeaniene was published today, like if the Night Huntress series is published today, it would be very well received and it would do really, really well because it hits all these amazing points while not being the same copy and paste of some of our romanticities because it's
Totally.
urban, it's even A Curse of Beasts and Magic, it takes place in modern day with the fantasy as the mirror. And we have a lot of modern things that happen. And I think that we don't see a lot of that in romantasy right now. So
No, and if we do, we don't usually see it done very well.
right.
So, this was amazing.
Yes, and I really just cannot wait for everybody to pick it up, and I just want Jeaniene to be given her her claps because she deserves it. She writes
She
amazing, amazing
does.
books. Yes. So, everybody, take a second and let's welcome Jeaniene to the podcast.
Yay.
I am having a hard time speaking because you are my dream interview. And
I'm sorry. That's so flattered. I mean, I'm always so excited when people are like, I've been reading you for, X, gosh, longer than I want to admit publicly. But it's like, oh my God, and you still care about anything I write. Like I could hug you.
we'll obviously get into the questions, but recently in like a lot of our book clubs, we have like a romantasy book club we're in. And I bring you up all the time because I feel like if the romantasy genre had been as big as it is now back when like Halfway to the Grave was published, you would have been you would have been the top romantasy series now if you came out now. Like I tell everyone, I'm like, you have to read this. You have to read Kat. Like she is so fantastic. And I have been wanting to tell you this for so long
Oh,
because
oh my gosh, you're gonna make me blush.
no, and it's there's so many reasons why, but one of the reasons that I want to talk about real quick is that in your series with Kat, she grows as a character. The Kat we meet in Halfway to the Grave and then the Kat we end with are so two totally different
Mm.
people, and you did such an amazing job of where it was slow, it was steady, and it wasn't perfect, and Kat is not perfect, and I have never read a character who has had growth like her. And
Oh well, thank you. I mean, yeah, I deliberately made Cat a mess because it was annoying to me at the time, and it's so much better now, and it's not like I was the first to even do it back then, but how female characters were supposed to be, you know, so friggin' shiny, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, if I'll have to edit my language. Anyway, yeah, I have
No,
terrible language, so I'll. Yeah, and
so do
it's
we.
like
so do we.
it's like the men are allowed to be a mess. They're allowed to be a mess. They're allowed to be a murderous mess, and the women were just, you know, held to such a different standard, which is still true today. But I wanted her to be the messy one, because Bones does have his stuff so much more together than she does. And so many times it was the other way around, the love of a good woman fixes the man. And don't get me wrong, I love to read that too. I've written it too. But I wanted to have, yeah, the her be the damaged one and the broken one and the completely, murdery one. Um, and still get an HEA because we shouldn't have to be friggin' perfect to deserve happiness. So, yeah. So that
Yeah,
was
and
my angry young feminist.
and there's so many scenes that stick out to me about that, like her in Halfway to the Grave when Francesca, Bones, and her and Spade, I think, is there as well. They're all having the conversation, and Bones is like, "When your people stop killing their
Mm,
people for their skin color," and it's just so flabbergasting to Kat to have that conversation. And these hard conversations keep happening with her, even all the way to I believe it's Destined for an Early Grave
uh,
where her and Bones have to have it out and she has to admit, I still have some of that in me,
uh-huh.
some of girl. And I'm like, that is so I still think about it today. I'm like, it's so real in this character. You just feel like Kat because I've been a mess. I'm still a mess. And it's never fixed in one book. I'm Liz S, by the way. So I guess I should introduce myself before just jumping down your throat.
I knew it was gonna happen. I'm Liz G. It is very nice to meet you, and I do feel the same. I had never read your books before, but obviously, like day one I met her, she was like, and here's this and this and this, and then I think she gave me the first four in paperback, and I was like, okay. And I love them. I love them so much. I agree.
Yeah.
Liz was destined to talk to you, so it's gonna be amazing.
So welcome to the podcast, Jeaniene.
Thank you so much for having me.
Um, I'm sorry. One time you tweeted me like a million years ago, and I still think about that. So, like, I have been a fan of your writing. I think I talked a little bit in our intro about the Night Huntress series and how it just changed my reading even back then. And so, when it was announced, A Curse of Beast and Magic was announced, I knew. I was like, we're about to get art. And I think I read that book. I stayed up till almost 2 a.m. Like, I couldn't put it down. And I am so excited you are here. Thank you so much for coming on to Liz and Liz.
Well, again, thank you for having me. And it's so flattering that you've been reading me since back in the early days of Cat and Bones. And I'm so excited that you picked up and tried the new book.
Yes, I want to touch just a little bit on Cat and Bones, just because, I feel it's such a monumental series, and that's not even going into like Layla and Vlad and Ian and everybody. Um, You recently, not super recently, but you released Bones' point of view. Are you gonna give more into that world at all in the future, or is the story kind of done? And this is purely a selfish question on my end,
That's
so I'm
okay.
sorry.
Yeah, and first, shameless plug, the Night Huntress series, the Cat and Bones book she's talking about, is now in Kindle Unlimited. So if you haven't tried them, you can try them for free, starting with Halfway to the Grave. And as far as the Bones point of view books, I loved writing them. I mean, I really did. They were a lot of readers considered them a gift, but first and foremost, they were a gift from me to me. Because there's not a lot of business sense, shall we say, in writing the point of view, same story from the male point of view on a series that was done for a while by then. New readers aren't really going to pick it up. They're going to start with either the first book in the other series. But it was something that I started hearing Bones's voice in my head, and I started realizing he had more to say and had more details about their story that I even knew when I wrote the Night Huntress series. So I started writing it just, as a little fun exercise to myself, posted a couple chapters on my blog, didn't think much about it. And readers were like, all right, you need to finish this. You need to do this. And so I did. And I wrote the first book, and then I loved it so much I wrote the second one from his point of view. But even while I was doing that, I had an idea for a new story and a new world in my head. And I joke that I don't choose what to write next based on market trends or any kind of logical things. I do it because whatever character is in my head are the loudest, they get the next book. So I had a new world and new characters in my head. So after I was done with the second Bones point of view book, I thought, let me just start writing this. It's an entirely new world. Let me see how it goes. Maybe I won't even finish it, but let me just start. See what happens.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how long have Rain and Remy been in your mind?
Oh,
Was it just out of the blue, or have you been thinking about them for a while?
I've been thinking about them for a while, since probably right around the time that I wrote the first Bones point of view book. So that would have been in 2021. And I realized I didn't answer your question. I'm probably not going to continue to write more Bones point of view books, even though I really did love it, because they took me just as long to write that as they did to write an entirely new book. I wish I wrote faster. If I did, I would have absolutely kept writing them because, again, I loved it. They were passion projects for me, but I just can't do that and write new stuff at the same time. So right now, the Bones point of view books are on hold indefinitely, unless and until he doesn't shut up in my mind again.
Um, I do have to say that I love A Curse of Beast and Magic, and I do feel that it felt like such a completely different universe than the Night Huntress series. Was it easy to kind of go into this new universe? Did you pull some things from the Night Huntress, or is this just completely brand new for you?
It's a completely new world unrelated to the Night Huntress series, with, entirely new creatures, new hierarchy system in the supernatural fantasy realm, that sort of thing. But I think that the tone of the book is probably similar to my Night Huntress series. There's banter, there's action, there's danger. There's ultimately a good versus evil and a love story as well. So those sort of things that readers got to expect from my Night Huntress series or the Night Prince series, they will find those elements in this new world. And it's been a while since I've written an entirely new world from scratch, and I forgot. Yeah, it's harder than just than writing in a world you're really familiar with. So it took me what felt like forever to write the first book. Not because I didn't want to, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but just yeah, the world building aspects of it. Because you want to have so much detail that the reader feels immersed in it and can kind of see it in their mind, and also not so much that people are bored and skimming descriptions. And there's a trick to that, and it's called write it and then rewrite it, and then write it and then rewrite it, and then have a friend read it and say, no, you need to rewrite it again, and rinse, repeat.
Totally.
Yes. Y-
I am hearing you mention you're having to come up with all this new lore, a whole new world, new creatures, and that's something that I was really curious about. How did you come up with all of these different creatures, and what was the research like kind of developing all of the lore in this new world?
Well, one of the great things about being an author of fantasy is that you can make stuff up. Um, so the idea of which creatures was, I started with characters. Whenever I write any type of book that I've ever written, it always starts with the characters. So who are they? Uh, in my books, they're paranormal. So what paranormal element and or fantasy elements do they have in them? If they don't have any and the world does, why don't they have any? And so everything goes from the characters outward. So I knew my heroine would be what she refers to it as infected by a beast, as she calls it. And so that started with her. And then the male main character has abilities that he offhandedly remarked is like it's sorcerer, but a lot more powerful. Um, so the world that they lived in was built from the two of them. And I took characters and creatures that I hadn't put in my other books, and I did it based on what sounded fun to me. So I was like, I've always wanted to write with something with dragons. I'm going to put dragons in this book. I've always wanted to do something with gargoyles. I very briefly had a gargoyle character in another side series. So you see a tiny bit of gargoyles in this one, and shapeshifters. I hadn't really done that before. In the Night Hunter series, there were only shapeshifters if they were demons. These are just people who are naturally part like sirens or selkies. So I drew from some Celtic lore, some Norwegian. Just I mashed it together. It wasn't only one particular type of lore in there, based on things that I've read about, seen, and thought that's really neat. I didn't have a place to put them in the other books, but I'm going to put them here. So even Egyptian, in the hieroglyphics, you can see some of the on the walls where they have, like the jackal head and the man's body, or so on and so forth. And I was like, okay, let's say that's an entire race of people. So it was just it was getting it. It's like being a kid in a sandbox again. Only your sandbox is creatures you get to make up in the world you get to build around it. So it's a lot of fun, and I hope readers enjoy it too.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
It's
I
not very
enjoyed it.
professional, to be honest with you.
It sounds like the best profession. So
I really really enjoyed it, and you always put your own little twist, I feel, on the different supernatural creatures too. And again, you did it again in A Curse of Beast and Magic. I think of the siren that
Mm.
potentially we may see, and I'm like, wow, I just want to live in this world. Like, wow. And so when you're writing, you've talked about having these characters in your head and they speak to you. So when you write, do you outline kind of what's going on? Do you just put something on a page? What is your writing process kind of like?
It is. I'm mostly an organic writer. When I start a book, I know how it begins. how it ends, and a couple main scenes in the middle. And everything else comes to me as I write, not before I write. So I will jot down those few things that I know. And then, as I said, then right from there, building on what I know about the characters and how they would react to things. It's, I mean, I've been doing it for a while now. I've been getting away with it like this. One time I actually did plot an entire book from start to finish in a really detailed outline to where it was like 30 pages by the time I was done. And then I didn't write the book. I knew everything that was going to happen. So I had no desire to write the book. So I'm the type of person who has to come to the story more naturally as I'm writing it. But that being said, you can get 10 writers in a room and you will hear 10 different processes and they are all correct because it's whatever works for that writer. And I almost never wrote a book because when I was first going to, I spoke to another writer and she's like, well, you have to outline, you have to have character boards, storyboards for all your characters. You have to have every chapter outlined and main scene outlined. And I am not that organized. I think you can probably tell that just from listening to me by now. And I cried when I went home because I thought I'm never going to write a book then because I knew I could never do that. That's what worked for her. But writing is as unique as the books that are produced. So I always tell writers, whatever gets you from chapter 1 to the end of a book that you are proud of, that's your process. If that doesn't work and you get stuck or you get writer's block, then sure, try something else. But it's what works for you. And so far, this is what has gotten me from chapter 1 to the end.
I
That's
knew we were
amazing.
kindred
Yeah.
spirits.
I think a lot of authors need to hear that. I think anyone that you meet who wants to write a book but hasn't will probably tell you they're terrified of the process. But I love what you just said. Like, whatever gets you from chapter one to something that you're proud of is your writing process. It doesn't matter if you have to lay upside down and write 300 words
Whatever you
a
got to
week.
do.
Like, it literally doesn't matter if you're proud of it and the readers like it, or if they don't and you're just proud of it, that's your process, and that's really awesome. So I'm sure a lot of people will be glad to hear that. Um, the question on both Liz and I's minds is, how many books, if you may tell us, do you have planned in this series?
I'm planning on it to be for Rain and Remy, who's the female character and the male main character. I'm planning on a trilogy. I'm going to put a little asterisk by that because Cat and Bones, my Night Huntress series, I originally thought was only going to be one book. Then I thought two books. Then I thought a trilogy. There was 7 or 8. I don't even remember anymore. Vlad, I thought it was going to be one book. Then it was 2 books. Then it was trilogy, and then it was 4. So I'm not real good at that. Again, probably from that organic writer process thing and not being, outlined. So I'm planning on a trilogy. I'm done with book 2 already. I'm starting book 3. So as of now, I think it'll be a trilogy, but we'll see by the end by the end of book 3 what turns up.
Perfect. So they'll all be presents. It'll be great.
As if I get off topic, yeah, you'll see why I need an editor. I need it for my writing. I should probably have one for my speaking too, because I'll get a thought and a tangent and then my brain will spin off. And if I don't answer your original question, it's not because I'm being rude. It's because I've literally got squirrel brain and moved on to something else.
Liz, are we not the same person?
It's true. It's true. You guys do have a lot in common. That is true.
Um, okay. First, I feel like I have so much I could unpack by that little paragraph you just gave us, but so excited. I cannot believe that you thought Cat and Bones and Vlad were all going to be one book, but whew, okay. Speaking of all of these amazing characters, you write chemistry so well, and none of the chemistry feels copy and paste. So I feel like Vlad and Layla and Cat and Bones and even Rain and Remy, it's all so different. How do you go about making sure that they all have their own love story and their own chemistry and it doesn't feel redone? Because it's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Your check is in the mail. But yeah, again, It's not a step-by-step process. I write the scene how I think that they're going to react. I try and get into my characters' heads, and I try and really see things through their point of view, because if we filtered everything through my point of view, um, the story would be pretty boring, you know? So I try and really put my own, um, morals, my own ethics system, my own everything aside, and insert theirs instead when I write the characters. So hopefully the responses that come out of that do feel more natural, and that would go the same with the chemistry, because these are people who are in a Curse of Beasts and Magic thrown together by circumstance. They're opposites in many ways, and they
Mhm.
have competing agendas, and yet they have this connection to each other that is flies in the face of everything that should make them really enemies, or at best uneasy allies. And it's just the give and take and the back and forth and the slowly peeling back the layers of who they are, that you can see as the reader why they would have these connections, that I love doing. It's part of the magic for me as an author. And I really hope that readers can sense some of that when they read it, and can feel like they're falling in love, with the person, even though you have all the reasons why you shouldn't, and then the world, all the dangers of that going on around you, but it's that irresistible connection that draws them together. I want the readers to feel it with the book.
Yes, and I 100% think they do. I think you also do such a really good job at pacing as well. So it's clear that there's like an attraction there, but it's not like insta love, which is one of my least favorite tropes. So I think you just pace all of your books so well, and Curse of Beast and Magic in particular too. I was like, okay, we've got a really long time, like, um, and speaking of tropes, um, are there any that you really want to write that you haven't written yet that you want to put in maybe future books, or you want to give your throw your hat in for?
I mean, I don't know. Gosh, are there tropes I haven't done? It's so funny because, again, when I write a book, I don't think, okay, I've got to include this trope, this trope, this trope, this trope. Um, Realize afterward that, oh yeah, I did the only one bed thing, or I did the fake, the fake dating, or I did the marriage of convenience, or the forced proximity. So yeah, I labeled them all afterward, but I don't have a plan to do them in advance. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure there is something I haven't done by now with with the different books, but yeah, if there is, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm drawn to the trope of the morally gray male main character. I think that's pretty obvious in all my books. I'm
Yeah.
drawn to, yeah, the opposites attract, the enemies, or enemies at sometimes, like, literally Cat tried to kill Bones a lot in the beginning of their first book, or reluctant allies to lovers. Again, forced proximity. I love the idea of people being thrown into circumstances that make them spend time together with someone that they normally would not. And yeah, gosh, what are some of the others? Touch her and die. Yeah, that's pretty much in everything I've ever written.
One of my favorites. Yes.
And
Yes.
secret powers. Most of my female characters have secret powers. So yeah, there's certain things that I obviously gravitate toward as a writer, and I love it as a reader too.
Yeah, those are all of my favorite tropes. I tend to get really frustrated with like the insta love, even sometimes friends to lovers. If it isn't done well, I just don't have like a ton of patience for. Um, so I completely understand you there. I am very much like, give me that morally gray, touch her and die. Where's my wife? And I am sat every single time. Um, Also, so were when I first saw the book, it was presented Beauty and the Beast, Beauty is the Beast meets
Mhm.
the Witcher, but the Witcher is her warden. Um, Are there any other fairy tales in that you would ever want to write with that kind of like a twist type situation? Like, what made you gravitate towards that particular collaboration?
It's so funny because I didn't realize I had done it. And again, you're like, "Lady, are you clueless?" And the answer is yes. But at my good friend Alona Andrews, when I gave her the first draft of the book, read it, and she's like, "This is a reverse Beauty and the Beast." And I said,
Mhm.
"Wow, you're right." um, and you would think, the heroine calls what's in her the beast. You would think that that would have been really obvious for me to realize, but in my mind, it was just something that she had gotten infected with, and that's just how she dealt with it. And how I came, I guess, toward that was, did you ever see the movie Jennifer's Body?
Of course.
Okay. At the end of it, and this is an older movie, so it's no spoilers. The sweet, sweet girl gets infected by the evil that had taken her best friend, Jennifer. And she then is changed in a lot of ways. And I loved the idea of what would happen if you're infected by dark magic, not born with it, not infected like werewolf style, but but you're infected by literal dark magic that can turn you into something completely different. So that was probably the origin of the idea behind Rain and her beast. So it was less of a Beauty and the Beast retelling in my mind and more of a, how do you still fight to be who you are and to fight for the morals and trying to do right instead of wrong while having a literal magic that transforms you into a monster. That push and pull that Rain came from. So the marketing aspect of it, if you will, calling, it the reverse Beauty and the Beast, and Beauty and the Beast meets The Witcher, comparing to the Remy's powers and all of his abilities. That came after the book was done. And I actually
Okay.
had to have a friend help me out with that because I'm not very good at marketing at all. And it's like you have to, kind of let your agent and know what type of book they're going to be pitching. So yeah, I got help from friends for that. But to
And
answer, oh, see, I tangented, and like I warned you, to answer your question, what would I like to do now that would be like another kind of retelling? It would actually be a little bit of a twist on a modern reimagining of Beauty and the Beast, or of not Beauty and the Beast, but Sleeping Beauty, because there is a male character dragon in the second book that you meet, not in the first book, who is, yes, absolutely morally gray. I mean, he's morally dark gray. But he has his own set of ethics and he's loyal to a fault to those that he cares about. And he reminded me a little bit of Ian from my Night Huntress and Night Rebel series. And I would love to write a book with him as a male main character, but in Sleeping Beauty, the dragon is the villain and the prince is the hero. And I would like to switch that around and have the dragon be the morally gray hero, going up against a prince for the human, caught in the middle. So that would be something that I would like to play in.
that is so cool. I have children, and one of the things that they do is they watch The Descendants, which is the children of
Mm,
the evil people,
mhm,
and it is one of my favorite of their shows that they've been obsessed with because I'm like, wouldn't it be so cool if we could get these stories and have them be different and
mm,
have the villains tell a different story, because I do feel we do have that starting to happen
mhm.
as the morally gray become, everyone's like finally admitting like, I like myself some morally gray. And so that I sat for it. I also, if you could take any recommendations, I do feel you would be so good at writing like almost a Tangled retelling too, like a Rapunzel retelling. I can just
Oh,
see you writing something so amazing. So if you ever need any like recommendations, I'm gonna throw that in there.
that's I mean, all of us grew up on fairy tales, I think, and it is
Yes.
fun to take them and to put your own twist on them and say, but what if? And we were saying like the retelling from the villain's point of view, Wicked, did such a great example of that with Elphaba, where you realize the story you thought you knew, maybe it's something completely different. So yeah, it is a lot of fun to take that and flip the perspective on it. And yeah, yeah, the little seed has planted about Rapunzel. We'll see.
Oh my gosh, I would literally deceased. I also have to tell you that we took your recommendation. You talked about Alona Andrews. So we read This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me.
Oh, how
And
amazing, isn't it?
you were right. Well, not that I ever questioned it, but it was so good. It was so different. And I'm now going into the backlist wanting to read like Magic Bites and stuff because I had never picked that up.
Oh, you have
So
so many amazing books ahead of you.
I know I'm so excited. I was like telling Liz G about it, and she was like, "Okay, like you do know we have a lot of books to read." Like,
But they're so
yeah.
good. I mean, they're so good. If she doesn't want to start on an entire new series, because sometimes people are like, I just can't start one more series. But if she wants to try Alona's book, aside from this kingdom, maybe Iron and Magic. Would be
Oh.
something that's a standalone. It is related to the Kate Daniels world, but if you're a new reader, you can just jump into it. It's told very well to where you don't need to have read all the other books, and it's one of my favorites of Alona's as well. But yes, This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me. I loved that book. I cannot wait for the second one. And yes, I'm so glad you liked it too.
Yeah, I did. You also back in the day, you are friends with Melissa Marr,
Yes.
and the Wicked Lovely series in particular, we have covered extensively on this podcast because it's also that was like one of my introductions into fairy and is still one of my top tier series I've read before. So you have now recommended me a million almost it seems amazing books. So thank you for doing them. I really appreciate it.
And Melissa has new books with different types of fae coming out. Treason of Magic is coming out, I think, next month, maybe, for
Mhm.
Melissa. And yes, I have never written about fae because I was so intimidated because I first read them from Melissa's books, her Wicked Lovely series, which is, I think, now back also on KU. So if new readers haven't tried it, that's a great time to try it. And I had her read A Curse of Beast of Magic because I'm like, okay, I need you to, I'm making this version of Faye, I'm adding my own twist, but I want you to tell me if there's anything I have egregiously gotten wrong. So I was so nervous having having her read the book because she's been writing about them since 2007 and she was a lit professor, and folklore, and she knows all of that stuff. So yes. So I had her go through my book and make sure that I didn't do anything terribly wrong with the Fae. And I was so relieved when she's like, "You did a good job." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
I wondered I had the thought while I was reading, I was like, "I wonder if she talked to Melissa."
Oh, yes,
I
I
just
did.
had to
Oh,
know.
yes. Talked to her, made her read it, got her notes.
I did wonder when I was reading A Curse of Beasts and Magic if you had people that you went to about the different supernatural creatures that we see, just
Yes.
to like, I would consider you, like, a vampire goal expert, because your vampires I've never read anything as good and all of that, so I that's what I would consider you, but I also think you did these other supernatural characters just so well. I mean, I'm like, "Here we go." You were
I mean, like I said, it's fun. I mean, I was I was watching horror movies and listening to, like scary supernatural retellings since I was way too young to have been doing so. Same with romance novels, really, which explains my books. And yeah, I love the what if behind all of the fantasy elements. What if the stories we hear as myth and legend, what if they're based in truth? What if these creatures do exist? What if they're still here now? And taking that and running with it, and then having, you know, having that experience where you can start out in most of my books, you start out in this world, just like in A Curse of
Mhm.
Piece of Magic. And it's not just these creatures are actually in this world. As my female character discovers, there are realms outside of this world where humans don't rule, creatures do. There's a dragon realm she goes to, there's a fae realm she goes to. There are more realms that she will go to in future books. And there are, you know, things there that she had no idea even existed. And it's being able to take everything in this world and say there's more to it. And then not only that, there are other worlds and there's more there. It's a sense of wonder and exploration and danger. I think, it's so much fun to write. And I think it also adds an edge to the romance as well.
And also, like, I think, what also it does, like, with you having like, starting here in this world, it helps people who maybe aren't super good at world building because, like, you can start here and then you already have the world built, right? So then when we go to these other realms, it's not like you're having to, like, ground yourself in a world building here and then have to also world build in this other realm. Like, you're already here, you're already built.
Mm.
And so when it was traveling to these different realms, which was also the portal and everything
Mhm.
was so cool. Um it wasn't a huge jump to have to then create that world. It wasn't like I had to create where we were and then have to jump and create that as well. And I think um a lot of the times when I have fantasy readers who have talked about like DNFing a book, it's because the world building is too complex. And I think grounding it in modern day cities, it takes care of that problem. So
I mean, it's tomatoes. Some readers
yeah.
will absolutely dive into and adore really complex world building, and that is their catnip. There's a book for every reader, and some readers, yeah, like to start out something a little more closer to home, and then get pulled into deeper the worlds. I mean, hey, that's it's great that there's diversity in readers and in books that are available, and yeah, so there's a flavor for every taste.
No, I completely agree because like even reading This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me, we had to create multiple, new world and I loved that. And so I completely agree. It's also knowing about who your audience is and what to recommend to them. And so I feel you are just the perfect mesh of like making it a good bridge of this world building. And you did that with the Night Huntress too. It was modern day. We were able to it wasn't a ton of world building because you have so much lore packed into that as well. But the lore in A Curse of Beast and Magic is its own being and just so phenomenally done. I'm sorry, I'm just like completely just telling you how amazing you
No,
are
this
every
is
5 seconds.
great because it hasn't come out yet, so I'll hear all the people who don't like it. So it's really nice before it comes out to hear someone who really loved it.
Anybody who says they don't, you know what? I always anybody who says they don't know what they're talking about. I
No,
know it's so
that's true.
bad to
Again,
say that.
different tastes, different readers.
Yeah. As my grandmother would say, reading is subjective, and I'm
Yes.
like, I know. So what was it like publishing this book versus your past books? Was the process different? Did you prefer it this way? Talk about that a little bit, having A Curse of Beast and Magic coming out in 2026 with where readers and genres are now versus back when you first started writing and publishing.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's night and day. I mean, when I started out, it feels like you chiseled the words on stone and sent it via dinosaur to a publisher. Um, So yeah, so that was like, yeah, that was forever ago. I it was pre-social media, really. That's how
Mhm.
long ago that was. So it was a completely different process. This time I had the idea, I wrote the book. I was out of contract. So I had no existing contracts with the publisher because my other books that I had written, I had once I got that first publishing deal, I basically kept getting more contracts for the vampire books, which was
Right.
really, really fortunate. And then when I was done with my last book in the Night Rebel series, they were like, okay, you're going to write a new vampire book. And I said, no, I want to write the Bones point of view books.
Mhm.
And I was very nicely told that if I did that, it would not be through a traditional publisher, because they did not think there was enough demand from readers for bookstores to want to stock it. And it's a retelling, so there is that issue. And there's so much competition for bookstore space. I mean, I understand that. So
Mhm.
I really wanted to write it. So I self published it. And, it still did well. The first book hit the USA Today list. I was really excited about that. And, that was great. So then when I started writing A Curse of Beast and Magic, like I said, I'm out of contract as an author. So I am starting essentially from scratch by then. So I, finished the book, had my friends Melissa Marr and Alona Andrews read it, give me critique notes. My friend Alyssa Day gave me read it as well, gave me some feedback. So, and then I sent it to once I felt like it was in decent enough shape, I sent it to my agent to see if she thought it was, something she could market, because otherwise I was going to self-publish it. I'd written the book. I wanted to share it with readers. I was going to do it one way or the other. If I wasn't going to get a trad publisher, I was going to self-publish it. So, gave it to my agent, and she was like, okay, I like this. I think a publisher will be interested. And I'm going to fast forward through like a 3-month process, or maybe it was longer. I don't even remember. Maybe it was shorter. This is back in 2024. So you'll have to excuse my memory for it. But, long story short, 3 publishers ended up wanting it. And, the sale went to auction, and I ended up going with Bramble Romance through Tor, which was a brand new publisher for me. So, but even though it was a brand new publisher, it was actually my editor she had previously done all my vampire books. She moved from Avon, which had been my previous publisher, to Bramble. So I am back with my longtime editor now with Bramble Romance. So that was really cool. I was really happy to be back with her again.
What a circle. Like what a completion of a circle. That's amazing. Is there like a rush when your book is up for like auction and stuff? Like I always think the behind the scenes stuff is it's probably so long, but is there somewhat of a rush too when you're going through that?
It is. It's like, at first it was just waiting, waiting, because it takes a while. You go in submission, you have to wait for the pertinent people to read it. Then, the whole acquisitions process, that's another thing. So yeah, but we got 3. So after like a month, or maybe it was only about, maybe it was less, maybe it was only about a month. I don't know. Seems like, felt longer. There you go. If I'm like 3 months, 4 months, now I'm thinking about it. It might have only been 1 month. So that's how it feels. There you go. It feels like time stretches, and you just get, yeah, needles on your nerve endings, waiting to see if anyone wants it. But
I,
then
I
once we got the first offer, then my agent told the other publishers, hey, we have interest. There's an offer on the table. So if you're interested, you need to, decide now if you're interested or not. And that's when we ended up getting multiple offers. So that part went fast.
Congratulations. I mean, I'm sure it was quite a journey. And um do you think that they'll ever bring the Night Huntress into like out of mass market and into the regular publishing too, or do you think it was just going to stay kind of where it is?
I mean, listen, I would love if they if they would republish it, in trade format with new covers. As much as I loved the older covers, they do look dated. So yeah, so I would love it. I'm not even going to lie and pretend I wouldn't. I would. Um, yeah, so one of the other ones. So yeah, as of now, there are no plans to do that. My publisher who owns those rights may or may not change their mind. It's entirely up to them. So, all you can do as an author is write the next book. And I'm so glad that the Night Huntress series has found new readers since it's been on Kindle Unlimited. So, yeah, so we'll see. I would, like I said, I would love for it to be able to find new readers in a bookstore with a reissue. But yeah, so just fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm sorry to keep bringing it up. I have been sitting on that series for so long, so and reading A Curse of Beast and Magic was just such a surreal feeling because I didn't anticipate that I would be reading you brand new again, and I'm so excited that it has happened, and it is the same caliber, and it's so unique as well. Um, I highly encourage readers to understand that this is like a completely new world, and you guys are just absolutely going to fall in love with Rain and Remy. Um, so we now know that you're anticipating for it to be a trilogy. Is there anything else you're, like, secretly working on that you wanna drop some tidbits? You said that you have book 2 done and you're
Mhm.
starting book 3. That's
Yeah.
super exciting. Is there anything else that you're kind of, like, maybe working on that you wanna talk about or anything at all that you wanna talk about?
I mean, I work on one project at a time. So yeah, I know there are authors who are like, okay, I work on this during the week, and then on the weekend I work on these things, and I think, oh my god, I envy your brain. Mine, I have tunnel vision when I write. I can only write that book. I've tried to do multiple projects, and it just has not worked. Um,
Right,
so so when I write the third book, that's what I'll be writing. I'll be writing the third book. After that, like I said, I mean, I want to dive back into my vampire world. I'm not done writing stories about vampires. I still love them. But at the same time, like I said, I also kind of would like to write maybe that, that reverse Sleeping Beauty with the dragon hero. So, as per my usual process, we'll see which character wins. Whichever one I can't get out of my head and keeps, giving me little tidbits of their story in my mind when I'm trying to sleep, they're the ones that'll get a book.
yes, I can't wait. Anything you do, I'm so excited for. Um, do you wanna talk to our listeners about our special little surprise that you are willing to collab on?
Yes, I actually have some of the advanced reading copies of A Curse of Beast and Magic. Now, this is the trade paperback. So, yeah, you'll see it's trade and it doesn't have the sprayed edges. This is actually, now that, whoops, this is the final book. So it's hardcover and it has the pretty sprayed edges and it has I'm going to shamelessly promo, and it has the amazing art in the middle or at the beginning. And oh my gosh, the claw marks for the heroine on the chapter ornaments. I love them so much. And then it has this map. Oopsies. So yeah, so the hardcover has all these really cool extra features, which I love. But just to specify, I have a giveaway for the trade paperback that I will be happy to do. Two giveaways. So two readers will win a trade paperback copy, early copy of A Curse of Beasts and Magic, and open to US and Canada. So, it's once you watch the podcast, I think just comment and maybe say, what's your favorite fairy tale, growing up that you
Yes.
loved the most to enter. And then we'll just, randomly pick winners. I can never pick among people myself. So I usually just pick winners at random based on, like a number of the comments. So yes, and we will go ahead and announce the winners. Gosh, what do you think, Liz? Like 5 days after the podcast goes live?
Yeah, maybe a week. We'll give you guys a
A
week.
week. Okay, there you go. A week after the podcast goes live, and then we'll announce the winners. And then I will get that book out to you, and I hope you enjoy it.
I cannot believe I'm doing a giveaway with Jeaniene Frost.
Oh my gosh, when I have bad writing days, Liz, you just need to drop me your number so I can call you. So you can tell me you can do this.
I have to tell you, you know how you said earlier, you were talking about reading romance books too early?
Mm.
I was a sophomore in high school when I found Halfway to the Grave. And then to be able to just talk with you and tell you all of this and then be able to read A Curse of Beast and Magic, I, like, called my dad, I go, "Oh my god, guess it's gonna be on the podcast." And
And
he's like, "Oh,
because, every author is a reader. I started
yeah."
out reading, and books carried me through, good times, bad times. And, I know exactly what that's like to have to say, these books are what made me fall in love with something. So there's no greater compliment as an author to hear that your books, helped a reader fall in love with something. Because that's been me. And as a matter of fact, the dedication in A Curse of Beef and Magic was for readers who had gotten teased for getting their, for having their faces buried in a book, because that was me growing up. And at the same time, it's like these are you don't know what you're missing. These are we're exploring different worlds. We're living different lives. We're we're with creatures that shouldn't exist, and they're real in these pages. I mean, it's I think it was Charlene Harris who said books are the cheapest vacation you can buy, and it is so true.
It is absolutely true, and it's also just a I have found recently, probably in the last couple of years, it's such a way to build a community too.
Mm,
Because I don't know about you, but I was one of those people who the reading was a negative. It was like you always have your nose in a book. You always are zoning
mhm.
out to books or blah blah blah. And now I've been able to share my passion and share Jeaniene Frost with everyone and say, remember when you said that? Well, now you need to read the book and understand where I was. And also, she is publishing in 2026. And here you go. And it is, I just want to, again, just thank you. Sorry to everybody who you guys are listening to me, fangirl. I literally told Liz that I felt I was going to cry the whole interview and I haven't cried once. So, like,
Oh,
we're
gosh. Well,
doing really well.
don't cry or I'll cry, and then
We're doing
that's
really
all
well.
gonna go downhill.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll just be like, I'm so excited. Again, thank you. To everyone who's listening, again, if you want to join in the giveaway for a copy of A Curse of Beast and Magic, listen to the podcast and let us know what your favorite fairy tale is. Is that what it was, right? Fairy tale?
Yeah,
What it was. Yeah.
favorite fairy tale, yes. And
Yes.
it could
And
be any type of fairy tale. It doesn't have to be like the Disney fairy tales. Any type of fairy tale or lore that was your favorite.
yes, and we will give you a week and then we will announce the winners. So you can keep an eye out for that. Jeaniene, thank you so incredibly much for spending time with us today. Um, I cannot tell you what it means to me as a longtime reader of you. I cannot wait to see what you come up with and you come out with. I can't wait for everyone to meet Remy and Rain. And,
Oh, well, thank
and I
you so much. And you're not going to have that long to wait. They won't let me say the release date for the next book yet, but I will say it's spring 2027. So it won't be too long before the next Beautiful and Beastly book.
that's not far at all.
No.
Woo! Okay, cool. Yes. So we have that to look forward to. If you do not remember, A Curse of Beast and Magic comes out May 26th, and you can go to sunboundbooks.com to pick that up, and you can use your code Liz and Liz to get 10% off. And you can let us know what you think. And I know everyone is going to love it. So just like I did.
And if you don't love it, don't tell Liz because I'll be chill with it, but she might not be.
I won't.
Thank you. You're like I said, you're amazing. I'm going to call you when I have a bad day.
Anytime you need to jump on a call, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
not busy. I've got you. I hope you have a wonderful night, and
Thank
I'll be
you.
seeing you soon.
All right. Sounds great.
Bye.
Bye.
So, what did I miss? Anything good?
Just a great conversation, a little giveaway. I cannot believe that Jeaniene Frost knows who I am.
I cannot believe that this happened for you, this happened for us, and I loved getting to meet her. I was very, very upset that family stuff, has to happen sometimes, but what a treat it was to meet Jeaniene and to watch you meet Jeaniene and to read this book, and I'm so excited for everybody to read it, and I personally can't wait to watch the second half of the interview with everybody else.
I will tell you that the one thing that this taught me was that we are very codependent because the minute you left, I like had a minute of panic of like, oh my God, what if what am I gonna do? Like, I'm glad out of everybody this happened with Jeaniene because I don't I was floundering. I was like, and so I will say I have some clarity today. Is everything okay?
Listen,
I know we
yes,
okay.
yes, and if you ask me, it maybe was fate that you got to have this dream conversation with a dream guest, and I just happened to have something else I had to do, so it's kinda weird. It's kinda weird that it happened on your dream date.
Yeah, it was a dream date. It was. I'm so thrilled, and we are so honored that Jeaniene took time to talk to us and just fulfill this. I just I remember back years ago where she responded to one of my tweets, and it was like the sun had come out after 40 days of darkness, and I was just like, but I missed you, and I'm glad
I
you're back.
know.
I hope I do you proud.
Of course, you always do. Should we end this episode by telling the people what we are reading?
Yeah, we should. That's a great idea. What are you currently reading?
Well, as of today, I finished Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune, and it was the easiest 5 stars I've maybe ever given a romance book. I'm not gonna lie. It's way up there in my Hall of Fame with Happy Place and Good Spirits and, Swift and Saddled. Like, it's up there. It's
Is
that
it
high up there.
better to you than One Golden Summer?
Yes. Which is the
Wow.
crazy thing to say. Yeah, if you know me, you know I love that book. This is even better than that.
Wow, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, truly a very magical time. I also finished This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me today, which Liz and I buddy read, and that was also good. Very unexpected and not in a bad way. We're gonna see what happens. I have some thoughts. We can
Yeah.
save it for a catch-up episode. So,
Yeah, I mean, I
but it
will
was good.
say one of the things I'll say about that book is it is definitely not an easy read. Like when I tell people to read it, I tell people who I know have read harder fantasies because you really can't zone out any part of that book. Um,
No. Yeah, but in a different way. Like,
yeah.
the will, the many, and strength of the few, you can't miss a literal sentence or you're gonna miss something. This was, like, kind of like that, but more so just, like, the tone. Like, you had to
Yes.
be catching her tone in the moment because she kind of did a lot with the narrative with, like, what kind of mood Maggie was in, it almost felt
Yes.
like, and so it felt like I was, like, babysitting Maggie. It was very weird. It was good, but very different.
I don't really feel we've read anything quite like it. I think I said to you, like, I think my real conclusion will come with the next one. Like, let me see where you
Yeah.
go from here, and then I will come to a conclusion.
Yeah, so it was good. So today I'm gonna be starting The Lake Effect by Cynthia Dupree Sweeney and also listening to Remarkably Bright Creatures, so everyone can leave me alone. And that's where we're at. How about you?
Well, I need to read Remarkably Right Creatures as well. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm currently finishing up The Crucible by B.B. Reed, which is a wide shoes romance based off of um, Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
And
And,
also Criminal Minds.
and um, I don't think this is a series that I will continue, but there's just a lot that has happened, and I will post a review. But primarily, what I've taken from it is that everyone needs therapy. So, um, yeah. And then I am also starting How to Read a Book, by Monica Woods. I This is for our Sunbound book club. I'm so excited to read it. I feel like I'm behind. Um, And I can't wait. After I'm done with Crucible, which I have like 20% left, which is like not a lot at all. I think I'm gonna start Dolly All the Time by Annabelle Monaghan
I'm so
because we
excited.
we see her in a cute short couple of weeks. So
Literally like
yes.
15 days,
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be great. That book is
Yeah.
gonna be so good. The reviews are amazing, so I'm excited to read that also.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read anything Annabelle has put out that I didn't like, so I'm not super concerned. I'm trying, we have a lot of big releases this month. We have A Parade of Horribles, we have Broken Dove, which is the sequel to Silver Elite, Ballad of the Falling Dragons. Um, I feel like I'm missing some, but I feel like it's a heavy fantasy month, so I'm really trying
Yeah.
to pile on the non-fantasy. So I also have My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney that I want to read, The Caretaker again by Marcus Cleaver. So there's a lot of non-fantasies that I'm really excited to read, but I'm very excited for our fantasies this month. So
Yeah, there's been a lot. Also, um, Fury Bound came out this
yeah,
month.
Mhm.
And just, like, a lot of stuff. Like, we've had a lot of releases already this month, and, like, Our Perfect Storm was last week. There's been a lot of new releases in May, and Dolly All the Time is this month, so there's a lot going on.
And of course, A Curse of Beast and Magic is this month. So if you want a very good romantasy based in modern times, I would go pick it up. It comes out May 26th. You can get it at all bookstores. And if you don't want to go to a bookstore and you want to order it online, you can go to sunboundbooks.com, use our code Liz and Liz to get 10% off, and she ships everywhere. So
It's
you
true.
can get it.
It's true. And if you're within, like, an hour radius, just get in the car and put on an audiobook and go see her at Sunbound because she's amazing.
And if you listen to this podcast, you know that there is a giveaway going on. So make sure you are doing what you need to do, and you might win this book from Jeaniene. And I'm already jealous.
I know. I'm like, "I missed some of the interview. Can I apply?" I don't know. Probably not. But good luck to everyone who enters, and we are jealous and excited for you to receive it because you are gonna love it.
Yes. And if you are not following us on social media or Jeaniene, we are at Liz and Liz Get Literary. She's at J Frost Author, and you can go and follow her. And when I tell you that this is an author whose backlist is to the tens, I mean it. So read A Curse of Beast and Magic, and then go read Halfway to the Grave, and then message us and say thank you.
Mhm. You've got to read Halfway to the Grave after you're
Oh,
finished. You have
yes.
to.
Yes. Yes. So
You have
have
to.
a great day, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Bye.
Bye.